Time to get you up to speed on the stories developing tonight at 5 o'clock. President Trump lashed out today with allegations against some of the people behind the impeachment inquiry and continued to attack the whistleblower who prompted the investigation. The president used an expletive on Twitter to describe the inquiry and didn't slow down at two news conferences today, claiming that the inquiry is a coup intended to overturn the last election. Also today, Democratic leaders said that if the White House or any federal agencies refuse to comply with subpoenas for documents and interviews, that would be used as evidence of obstruction of justice. Former Dallas police officer Amber Guyger in prison tonight. Her mugshot was taken yesterday after a jury found her guilty of murdering the murder in the shooting death of her neighbor. Guyger shot and killed the 26-year-old man in his apartment last September. Guyger says she thought that she was in her own apartment and that the shooting was in self-defense. The jury's guilty verdict was unanimous. She was sentenced to 10 years behind bars. And the Valley is about to have another visit from another presidential candidate. Beto O'Rourke is making his first visit to Arizona since joining a crowded field of Democratic candidates. The former Texas congressman will hold town halls in Phoenix and Tucson on Sunday. O'Rourke has been lagging in the polls, but has said that he is in the race until the bitter end.